In today's video, we will be answering the question, is Battlebit dying? I'm not one who likes to call a game dead or to say a game is dying. As most of you guys probably know, I am known for playing some dead games, like Quake Champions and Splitgate. I consistently play both of those games, even though they're quote-unquote dead games. I love dead games. Dead games are usually the ones that take a lot of skill, and all of the weak aim assist enjoying players that like games to hold their hands usually don't play those games, so they die. The dead games are usually the ones that are the most fun to someone who likes a challenge. Now, we're going to take a look at some of the reasons why Battlebit is dying and how the devs can turn this around to add some longevity to this game so it's not another game that's popular for a couple weeks and then just dies. As we know, there's been a lot of those games lately. You can look at Hyperscape, Splitgate, all sorts of games that have a little bit of success and then just drop out of nowhere. I believe Battlebit does have what it takes to stand the test of time, but are these devs really willing to do what needs to be done in order to add longevity to this game? That I do not know. That brings me on to the first point, is these devs are naive as heck. There is a total of 3 developers and they are not interested in expanding their team. As you guys know, there are some great games made by small teams. However, it is unrealistic to make a game this size with only 3 developers, especially when you take into account that one of the devs is only an artist. So there's really only 2 devs working on this game. The huge issue I see with longevity is that they have no realistic monetization strategy. The devs have made many statements saying that they are wary to add any sort of monetization like skins or battle passes, but that is what it takes to compete in the current live service meta that the FPS genre is in right now. They've already said many times that server costs are crazy expensive, and having the only form of revenue from people buying the game and then never spending any more money on the game is just not realistic to have the game last. They will eventually run out of money. If we look at the Google interest chart and compare Battlebit to Battlefield, we can see that Battlebit is now dropped below Battlefield for Google interest, which is scary to see for sure because Battlefield would be Battlebit's direct competitor. Now, it may not be fair to compare Battlebit to the entire Battlefield franchise. However, Battlebit is not competing with just one Battlefield game. They are competing with the entire franchise. If we take a look at Battlebit's Steam charts, we can see that players are consistently dropping off, and the peak in average player count is continually dropping day after day. We can see that the average player count is under 30,000 players over the last few days, which is a long ways away from their 80,000 player peak. In the last few days, the lowest player count for Battlebit Remastered was 14,000 players, which is pretty concerning to me. If you combine all of the Steam players on Battlefield, it would be around 24,000 average players over the last few days, which is nearly what Battlebit has right now. Once again, it might not be fair to compare the entire franchise to one game, but it is important to note that Battlebit does compete with the entire franchise. It is even more important to note that Battlefield is also on the EA launcher, so we don't have numbers for that, and it is also on consoles, PlayStation 3, 4, 5, and then, 3 different Xbox consoles as well, and there's players playing on all of those. So Battlebit's numbers are actually way higher than they appear just by looking at Steam charts. If you guys are enjoying the video so far, then make sure to subscribe. So if you're a fan of first-person shooters, I think this channel would provide a lot of entertainment and value to you. I know it sounds like I'm being negative towards Battlebit, but I really want this game to succeed. I am a huge fan of this game and have been pretty addicted to it over the last couple weeks. Believe me when I say this, I want this game to succeed more than anybody. Now, what is Battlebit doing wrong that's causing players to leave? Well, the 3 main things I think are balance issues, lack of updates, and lack of new content. Now, Battlebit arguably does have a lot of content to it, but to survive and compete against other live service games, you need a steady stream of new content coming into the game. I know I said Battlebit competes directly with Battlefield, but they really are competing with every single first-person shooter out there right now. And nearly every FPS game out there is doing the games as a service model, which means they are receiving a steady stream of new content being added to the game consistently. The balance issues are a pretty big deal and can even turn good players away, but the biggest concern I have is for the casual players. I wouldn't consider myself casual. I don't necessarily try hard at the game, but I have been playing FPS games for a long time, so me just chilling on the game would look like sweating to some people. But when you have good players taking advantage of the unbalanced weapons and gear, and even just like the positions on the map that could be considered unbalanced, it makes for a pretty unfair and unfun game for the lower skilled players, which I definitely feel for in Battlebit because these balance issues can be really frustrating even for the better players. Now here's how I would go about changing things. First of all, they need a way to make money. So they could literally today in an hour find several artists that would be willing to work for free for a percentage base just to make gun skins and character skins that they could be selling for like $5 a skin all the way up to like $20 a skin. Okay, this is a little bit of a side point, but people who complain about microtransactions for cosmetics need to grow up. Businesses need to make money, and you need to realize that you're complaining about pixels on a screen that add no change to the gameplay. If you don't like skins, then don't buy them. But there's a huge amount of players that would be buying skins in this game and making Battlebit a ton of money. They should literally just hire a handful of skin artists, pay them commission-based, like 5% of the money made by people purchasing their skins within the game. That would be quite a bit of money for those artists to make, as well as provide Battlebit devs with a stream of income that doesn't lose them any money since they're not actually having to technically pay someone. And then aside from that, they do need to expand their team. They need more engineers and developers to be able to add a consistent amount of content to this game. Each month, we need new contents, we need new maps, we need map changes, we need weapon balances, but two game developers are not able to add all of this when you have a huge player base. We can say the same thing about Splitgate. When Splitgate blew up, they couldn't expand their team fast enough to keep up with all of the new players coming in, because a game with a lot of players needs more attention than a game with less players. But I think that is the very first step they should make. They need money, then they can expand their team, then they can get to adding consistent content and fixing all of the issues the game currently has. Issues aside, Battlebit Remastered is a great game, but it currently doesn't have what it takes to survive in an industry filled with live service games. If you guys did enjoy this video, then make sure to subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.